Hello everyone. Welcome back to the show. I think I'm just gonna call the show Taekwondo Analytics. So what have I been up to? I fought in the Southeast Asian Games last early December. Took second. I lost to Thailand. After that, I went like on a 2 month vacation. Officially done fighting now, so I had to spend time with my wife, my in-laws. We went to Palawan. I got to go to Japan, visit my brothers. Came back. Hopefully the new year has been good for you guys. But yeah, that's enough about my life. Let's get into the show, guys. So today we're gonna be covering Lee Daehoon and his kind of comeback into being king at minus 68. Initially, he had lost to Sinden at World Champs, and then he had lost to Zhao in the Grand Prix. And Sophia, he had also lost to Hosseini early in the Grand Prix as well. All of them really, really close matches. And the reason I wanted to cover Lee Daehoon specifically now was because even though Lee Daehoon lost, he didn't toss out his whole game plan, start from scratch. She just made small adjustments to his game against these specific people, and then he's able to beat them. We will start with Zhao first. And so the reason I want to cover this is because for you guys who are up and coming and you have your game plans, even if you lose a match, don't scrap your whole game plan. Don't toss out the whole thing. The important thing is to look at what went wrong, what part of your game plan has a hole in it, and then patch the hole. If you got beat really badly, or if you're really new to Taekwondo fighting, etc., I would suggest watching some pro players who kind of have your same body type, around your same division level. So if you're like featherweight for your division, watch featherweights. If you're heavyweight, like I'm a heavyweight, watch heavyweights. What are their game plans? Try and copy one of those, because that's been successful multiple times for these people, especially in the Grand Prix who have been at the top for so long. So I'll be just taking you really quickly through what I saw in his fights versus Zhao in the small adjustments and small adjustments against Sinden. If you guys have any other fights you want me to look at, please send those in. I know I have to look through the comments again. You guys were commenting while I was away about which fights you want me to cover. I try to reply to you guys as soon as I could. But yeah, let's get into it. Daehoon kind of keeping the offensive pressure. I want you guys to also notice Zhao, though. Notice what Zhao does to keep Daehoon at bay, and what does Zhao score with predominantly. So for your own fights, when you guys are watching pro fights, or like watching pro fights comparing to your own fights, kind of look for these things as well. Look at where, one, you get scored on. So it got scored on there, back leg in the clinch. Secondly, where do you score? And third, where do you feel uneasy? And those are kind of like the warning areas about where to look for, where to improve your game. And lastly, after where you're uneasy, is where do you think you can score even more points in the future? Scored off the cut. Now I want you guys to, if you guys aren't picking up on this, it looks like they're just motioning at each other. I want you to remember the amount of motion Zhao's using right now. Zhao, China. Look at the amount of counter motion, the jittery back and forth motion that Zhao uses against Daehoon in this fight, and then we'll compare that into the next fight. A lot more in and out. Good. Daehoon's still applying his offensive pressure. Same old, same old. The distance they're fighting at is super small. Like, really, really small distance. Daehoon's still applying the pressure. Zhao's great defense. A lot of counter motion. Another cut. Oh, wait, just kidding. Another cut. Oh, that was a big gap. What happened here? Daehoon gets a punch in the clinch. Okay, with the right this time. Ooh, he gets a headshot. Ooh, nice return by Zhao. At this point, though, it is a little bit. This is the part of the game already where it's already one-sided, where strategy, end of the second, going into third, it's way different than a normal circumstance, because the board is so set against Daehoon already. I mean, it is Daehoon, so he could technically still do it. He's still well within his capability to do it. With Zhao's defense right now, though, really questionable. But Daehoon's pretty much backed against the wall. He has to come in, so it's a lot easier to score points when you're in this situation as Zhao, because you know he's coming in. It's like a 70, 80, 90% chance he's going to be coming out on each move. You just need to kick in place or kick short, and Daehoon's eventually going to run into it, because if Daehoon never comes in, he can never score points. So the original plan of Daehoon is always what? Move forward, apply pressure, poke holes. After you get a little bit of information, start adjusting and poke holes to where you can set up into kicks, where you can set up into small traps as you're putting pressure forward. Now we watch Daehoon in this fight, and I want you guys to specifically watch Zhao's movement, number one, and number two, watch what Daehoon does to counter the cut. Daehoon opening with a pressure, that's a staple. Okay, that was the first cut. Notice Daehoon's movement against the first cut. This is what I'm talking about. With a small adjustment sometimes is all it takes to beat someone. Watch Daehoon's movement against Zhao's cut. First movement. That's it. Let's find another instance where Zhao cuts. So something I noticed right off the bat too is comparing the two fights while we're waiting for another cut to show up. While we're waiting, Zhao's footwork is not as jittery or back and forth as it was in Sophia. This one he's a little bit more calm. And yeah, he's not as jittery back and forth, which doesn't throw Daehoon off as much. It could have been that in Sophia he's super tense, but those jittery back and forth motions, man, really are something else. That's Zhao's second attempt at a cut, and he was able to get it out without off without Daehoon closing the gap. Really simple. Just keep on the edge of distance. And that's it. That's all Daehoon adjusted against this fight versus Zhao. Like, as far as I can tell. I mean, he fought him a lot more in the clinch. I mean, the later rounds, he knows Zhao's tired, so he poured on the pressure. But the game plan, the game adjustment was simply, when he puts his front leg up, just move it out of the way, wait for it to come down, and then maximize your opportunity when it comes down. Because it was deemed that, I'm assuming, it was deemed that Zhao's front leg is too accurate to deal with. It's too accurate to deal with probabilistically. Like, it's going to be it's too hard for you to guess where it's going, because it's very sharp, it's very accurate. Better thing to do, get out of the way until it goes down, reapply pressure, and try and score points after that. It doesn't have to be, Daehoon did scrap his whole pressure game plan because it's putting him on toe-to-toe with Zhao. He kept the pressure game plan, and his only adjustment was, when he cuts, get out of the way. And then maximize opportunities, apply pressure right after that. I mean, later in the later fifth round, he completely bullies Zhao, where Zhao's out of gas, and Daehoon is just same thing right here. He's still just getting out of the way. But Daehoon is just encroaching on him all the time. Well, I think before this minute was up, there's a span of a minute where Daehoon's just completely shoving him out of the ring. Same thing. When he cuts, just get out of the way. Very simple. And now he's just constant pressure. So it is still pressure game. Only a small adjustment for Daehoon. Move out of the way. Zhao was also not jittering back and forth anymore, so a little bit to his detriment there. But yeah, so that's what I'm talking about, guys. In your own game plans, when you're analyzing your fights as you're going into this new year, don't scrap your whole game plan. Try and keep a game plan, especially if you're following one of professional fighters, and make small tweaks and small adjustments to that. Because every time you lose, if you scrap your whole game plan, all the knowledge you had built up just goes to waste. So that's Zhao. Now we're going to watch him against Sinden. And I want to end with him against Sinden because I'm noticing a trend that's starting to happen now in the Philippines, or not in the Philippines, almost semi-worldwide, that I had noticed while I was fighting as well, especially in the SEA Games. So Daehoon versus Bradley. I'm going to start early in the fight, doesn't matter. Well, actually, no. You know what? I'm going to start at the beginning. So for nothing, Bradley's just as strong as Daehoon in the clinch. One of the few guys I've seen able to move Daehoon in the clinch. Daehoon usually doesn't move when he's in the clinch. He's really strong core. So I don't mind. So that one, Daehoon coming in, I'm assuming. Bradley's super strong, able to push Daehoon back. Very rare for me to see Daehoon be pushed back. To see Daehoon push back in general. One to the back of the head in the clinch. When did the next two show up? So that doesn't... Got a point off of the cut. See how these show up. How does he get these points? Okay, 2 points right there. When? Back kick. Oh, back kick for 4. Okay, in the clinch again. From the left. Alright, so what I've got so far was there's like one back kick, most of the points in the clinch, and some from the outside. And what I also noticed too is Daehoon loses this push battle between him and Sinden. Sinden in the clinch has been dominating Daehoon this whole time. And I think this is the first time Daehoon's ever really encountered someone who could do that. Because majority of the time when Daehoon's pushing you, they're either standing there or getting pushed back. And this is the first time I've really seen this happen. Very interesting stuff. How does Daehoon adjust? If that happens to you, how do you adjust? One, you could do more strength training, which I also think that Daehoon does. Second, another option is what Daehoon does against Sinden now, is that he just doesn't fight him in the clinch. When he gets in gets out of the way from the cut because it's very dangerous. But majority of the time, I want you to watch how Daehoon manages this. When he gets Bradley into a clinch situation, he retreats out of the way and is kicking. He's able to kick and retreat at the same time. Hopefully they do it soon. Boom. Kind of stands in place. Before they would enter a push fight, Daehoon kind of just tries to fight him offline. And as soon as Bradley tries to come in to close the distance, Daehoon's retreating and firing shots. And Daehoon kind of just shows us the whole time. Notice before what Daehoon would normally do against someone like this is in the corner, one shot. In the clinch fight here, in the clinch, Daehoon would normally be trying to force him out and get his feet up in the air. But the game plan, their camp said, don't do that anymore. As soon as you get one shot, get out. Do not fight in the clinch as much as possible. Reset. And mess with his distance again. Right? It's like, normally what would happen in Worlds, what would happen is he's standing here, Bradley would be pushing forward, Daehoon would be trying to push back, and then Bradley, stronger upper body or core or whatever is needed, horizontal sled, heavy sled, he's able to move forward, Daehoon moves back. In this situation now, what's happening? Daehoon moves forward, Bradley tries to move back, Daehoon says, okay, that's cool, I'll move back, and as I'm moving back, I'll be kicking at the same time. And boiled down, I feel like that's all that happened in this game, the whole game. And because I don't think Bradley's ever encountered this before, and to be honest, I don't think that like anyone really in the world has encountered this before, because up until kind of recently, everyone said if you win the push game, you'll win. That's it. If you win this push game and they're fighting back at you with the push away, then you can kick to the body. While they're falling backwards, you can kick to the face as they're falling backwards. Everything's open to you because that's all the Taekwondo meta knowledge had at the moment. And now what we're slowly starting to see is Daehoon willing to give the ground in the clinch in return in exchange for almost like potted chagis or fading op balls that catch Bradley, because he hasn't trained for that before. No one's really trained against what if this guy engages and then slides out of the way and kicks at the same time. That wasn't really a meta thing to do. That wasn't really in anyone who's at the top level's game plan, because initially like everyone was trying to explore the differences in the clinch. So this is just another opportunity that Korea had found and Daehoon had found to same thing. As soon as he gets in the clinch, he doesn't try and force Sinden back here. He pushes himself back to create these opportunities for himself, where Sinden's gonna move forward because Sinden wants the clinch, because Sinden wants the small shots in the clinch. He wants that to happen. Daehoon says, all right, well, since he's gonna move forward anyway, and I'm probably gonna lose that fight, don't fight where it's a bad situation for me. Just move out backwards, and as he's coming in, hit. So I think this is where Taekwondo knowledge is gonna need to expand to. It's gonna be either how can I create a deeper offense to chase him as they're moving back, or it's going to be a lot of clinch, and on the reset, can I kick to the face? Let's say Lee Daehoon moves in, okay? Bradley tries to push back, and because he's trying to go back so far, Daehoon adjusts the distance and kicks, and points go on the board. What I think is going to happen is, so person A will come in, person B will meet in the clinch, then there's going to be an immediate headshot, and either person A is going to get hit in the face or is going to move back, and then you start at 0-0. I think that's what's going to happen. That's one option. The second thing I think is either going to happen in Taekwondo is it's going to be person A moves in, person B stops or intercepts whatever they end up in the clinch situation, person A moves back, person B deep attack to eat both the retreat and to counter both the deep retreat and the counter kick, and then that might be where the new opportunity lies to score. Because as it is right now, with this situation where person A, Daehoon, moves in, Bradley meets him halfway in the clinch, Daehoon moves back, Bradley tries to keep him in the clinch by running forward, Daehoon counter kicks and scores. And this is kind of just what happens the whole time. Also, if you guys don't hear this voice in the background, it's Stephen Lamblin. I really trust his analysis as well. He's someone I've looked up to my whole life. And he's been doing really well in heavyweight division. Like, if you were a smaller guy in your division, watch Lamblin fight, because that guy's been small in heavyweight and been doing really well. Doing very well. Besides trying to evade kicks here, the game plan's the same. Just score going in, stop, get out, and score going out. Don't fight in the clinch. Nice try by Bradley there. That should have went up. Nice job by Bradley staying in. That was unfortunate. He did a great job staying in there. Hard to expect that kind of kick coming up. Notice, so before it's in a situation, I don't think Bradley's going to be as aggressive in the clinch now, and so Daehoon's perfectly can be closed. But what you notice also is sometimes in situations like that, Daehoon will clinch and then try and set something up. Daehoon isn't really trying to set something up anymore. He doesn't really try to engage in that situation, at least what I'm seeing. Let's try. Bradley's doing a good job trying to engage Daehoon on the line now. He knows the points from the clinch aren't going to be available to him because he's not fighting there, so he's trying to adjust. And he's trying to fight Daehoon off the line now. It's hard to do, though, because Daehoon's well versed in this kind of ranged game. That's kind of the game that everyone else fights Daehoon in. Overall game plan, guys, when you guys are going into this new year, I want to make this the first video, especially because we got some stuff coming up. We got US Open. There's the whole year ahead of us. It's an Olympic year, so it's going to be cool to watch that and see how Taekwondo has evolved. But yes, overall game plan, guys, whatever your game plan was before, if you won a couple of matches with it already, use the game plan and just start adding on and patching up where the holes are. Like, as you're building your game, patch the holes in the base where you're getting scored on, and look for opportunities of where you can score more points. That's like, it's common sense, but in your tapes, that's kind of what you need to look for. Where did I get scored on? Where can I score more? Where did I feel uneasy? That kind of stuff. So what I also want to ask you guys, though, is for Sinden, what do you think his improvement should be? You guys can feel free to leave that in the comments below if you feel like you see something I don't. What I'm trying to say, guys, is don't toss out your whole game plan. For Bradley, just don't engage when people are treating at you in the clinch. That's actually how I had lost my SEA Games matches, because I had scouted Thailand. I thought I knew his game plan. He added the ability to retreat crescent kick, like fade away crescent. So in the clinch, as I'm trying to get into push, he's perfectly absorbing the pressure, but his foot's coming up at the same time. And he had tagged me with a crescent kick a couple of times, and then going to the third round, I just started chasing. So that was the end of that. I mean, lesson for me in case I want to move forward. That's what I would have adjusted, is find either some kind of deeper offense to, counter that, or just if I feel like they're pushing back, then just reset the game and then fight them on the edge again. But that's going to be it today, guys. I don't want these videos to extend too long. Thank you guys for tuning in week after week. I'm going to be having more videos up. I may do some how-to videos. Like, I know a lot of people already cover how to do certain kick, but I feel like Taekwondo has started to really diverge from traditional Taekwondo, and where the kicks are not really traditional kicks. Like, I don't think traditional Taekwondo schools cover twist kick in a clinch, like that kind of deal. So I may start doing a couple of how-to videos for like really, really meta kick, assuming that I can actually do them. But yeah, besides that, guys, thank you for tuning in. I think I'm going to call the show Taekwondo Analytics. If you guys think that's a good name, let me know. But I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to this video if you found any value from it. See you guys next week.